So it's that time of the year where we're all getting ready for the holidays, particularly Christmas. And I was on a trip to Israel in 2018, and what I found out about the nativity scene was actually shocking. It's going to blow your paradigm on the pictures that we see about what it looked like at the birth of Jesus. What do we really know about the biblical story? I'm going to cover that in this video. Spoiler alert, the popular nativity scenes that we see in photos is really not what it looked like at all. Often things are romanticized for commercial appeal to make the story more appealing to the mass public. The inn was not full as popularly thought, therefore turning away Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus. I'm going to explain this more. Jesus was not born in an outdoor stable, and there was probably no wooden manger either. So please consider hitting the thumbs up button so I can reach more people to tell the algorithm that this video is worth watching. If you like it, hit subscribe so I can show you more of my videos in the future. That would be appreciated. So in 2018, I went to Israel and I found out the truth. My tour guide, who is also an historian, was pretty much enjoying blowing up our paradigm on Christmas. And I'm going to show you in this video how he did that. Plus, I put in hours of research since then on this topic. So you're going to want to stick with me to the end and hear it out. I'm going to go show photos of what the scene of Jesus' birth most likely looked like. So when I got to Israel, I was so excited to be able to trace the steps of Jesus and see what he saw. But our tour guide right away said, I hate to blow your bubble, but you're probably going to see very, very little that existed in the time of Jesus. Most of the world that existed in the time of Jesus is layers and layers under the ground. Boy, was I disappointed for sure. But thank God to modern archaeology, we were able to see glimpses of this world from sites that were excavated, or in layman's terms, they dug them up. While in Gibeon, we saw an excavated town that was close to the time when Jesus lived. Now hang in with me for a moment, because at first you're going to be confused. Why am I showing you an ancient village and an ancient house? But I will explain how all this is tied into the nativity scene in the end. Please comment down below and say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. That would be appreciated. So here is a slide of the excavation site of a town in Gibeon, close to the spot where Joshua prayed for the sun to stand still. Matter of fact, where we were, I could see the valley where he did that, in that famous supernatural event that took place. We can see the valley where he did that. Now, slide 2, you're going to see a cluster of houses in this town from that site. So there's about a few dozen houses. Now you can see from the photos that the houses were built with stone. So another spoiler alert, Jesus was not a carpenter. That's right. The word for carpenter in Greek is tekton. And the word architect also comes from this word. However, the translation from the Greek word tekton to mean carpenter is a bit of a mistranslation. This can also be translated woodworker, builder, craftsman, or stone mason. So in ancient Greek, there was no distinction between a general worker, woodworker, and a stone mason, or a stone worker. So in the Greek, they lumped these all together. But our tour guide, who was also an historian and an accomplished one, told us that if you look at this ancient town, it was all built in stone. All of the structures were built in stone that day. So most of Jesus' work would have been working with stone. And as you can see from this and other ancient structures, they were all built out of stone. So this probably means Jesus most likely worked very little with wood. This probably also means that Jesus was most likely pretty muscular, since anyone who works with stone is more likely to be built solidly. So we see often in the movies that Jesus was this tall and skinny guy, and that's just really inaccurate. Jesus would have been very strong and built well, as anyone knows who works with stone, since they're very heavy. In another slide right here, now let's take a closer look into what a room in a house looked like in Jesus' time. Now, if you look to the left, you will see two objects that look like a big sink or a tub. But these are actually mangers for feeding animals, or a trough. These mangers are inside of the house and not outdoors. As we know from Luke 2:12, the shepherds were told by an angel that they would see a baby lying in a manger. In a culture that prized hospitality so highly, it would have been unimaginable for these shepherds to have walked away and left a family with a newborn baby in a stable. So I'm going to show you a diagram. So in Jesus' times, they would have kept some of the animals indoors during the nighttime, and there's scriptural evidence to support this as well. So those animals need a manger to eat from. So most likely, Jesus was not born outdoors, as in a stable like the popular photos suggest. It was also because, as they say, there was no room at the inn. And in Luke 2:7, it says this. And they laid him in a feeding manger because there was no room for them at the lodging place. But most translations, the word inn or lodging place could be used interchangeable. But the word inn or the phrase lodging place bring to mind the idea of a hotel, which did exist in the first century. They did have hotels. But because Bethlehem was a small town, I've been there, there was most likely no inns there. But the Greek word for inn in Luke 2:7, kataluma, is translated in Mark 14:14 and Luke 22:11 as guest rooms. So it's funny that this word in two other contexts was described as a guest room and not an inn. However, for most translations, they have the word inn in Luke 2:7. But most likely, the word should have been translated guest room. Now you will see in this diagram that most houses in that time had a guest room. But so most likely what had happened was the guest room happened to be occupied with other people. So Mary had the baby in the family room or the room with the animals, and most likely a guest in ancient times would have kept those people in the main room. So animals would have been present. So that is part of the nativity photos are correct. So there were animals present. But here is a better close-up shot of the manger. This was most likely what the manger Jesus was born in looked like. He was lying in a stone structure that was really meant to feed animals. And maybe it even had some hay in it, but we can't know for certain. But just a wonderful thing that the Savior of the world came to us as a baby, lying in a place where they fed animals, and he came in humbly. He came in to introduce himself to us as a person, as a baby, and had to be taught. Although he was God and could have easily entered in however he wanted to, he entered in under humble circumstances. Now I'm going to show you a closer shot up of the manger. And our tour guide blew up our ideas on Jesus' profession and now our nativity scene ideas that day. And there were people that were visibly really upset. And so there you have it. More of a realistic visual to know what the real nativity scene looked like in ancient Israel at the time of Jesus' birth. So it was not outdoors. It would have been indoors. And it wouldn't have looked anything like the pictures that we saw. Jesus would have been in a stone structure, not a wood structure. And it should be noted that in my research, all of this information was backed up by David Cruteau, who is a professor of New Testament in Greek in the seminary and School of Ministry at Columbia International University. So if you like the video today, please hit the thumbs up. Please consider sharing this on social media. Be blessed. Thanks for watching. And remember, Christianity is three things. It is to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. It's to love others and show that love to others. And it is to go into the world and preach the gospel and fulfill the Great Commission. Be blessed today. Thank you.